Welcome aboard the 1937 steam-powered paddlewheeler, Samson V. My name's Mark McKenzie. I used to do the museum programming and the restoration work on this amazing old ship. Let me take you on board. She's absolutely amazing, and I think you're going to find her really interesting. Samson V isn't just a name, it's a legacy. When she was built in 1937, she was the fifth in a series of federal government workboats that were intended to clear debris out of the river. Business end of this boat is here on the foredeck. She was really a platform for this gigantic 72-ton capacity A-frame crane. And she used this to lift giant logs and other debris out of the river that were dangerous for the wooden tugboats, the barges, the fishing boats, and the other vessels that used the river. She also maintained all the aids to navigation, like the floating buoys or the land-based markers, using this huge crane, which could lift basically almost anything. So the key to the A-frame's ability to act as a crane is this 3-drum steam winch. The thing about this steam winch is that it's not only incredibly powerful, but it's also got a lot of finesse. So you can lift incredible weights, but by controlling the amount of steam going to the steam engines that drive it, and by controlling the different clutches that engage the 3 drums and pull the cables in, you could do very delicate operations with colossal weight. So the winchman who operated the A-frame crane requires the use of steam that's being generated in the boiler inside the ship, and that's also providing steam for the main engines. Why don't we go into the boiler room and have a look at the heart of the Samson V. So I'm standing here in the stokehold in front of this massive 17-foot long triple pass fire tube boiler. This is where the magic happens. This is where the steam is produced that drives all the machinery on the ship. The steam comes out of the top of the boiler through this heavy-duty yellow pipe that runs all the way to the back of the ship to the engine room. So the Samson V has 2 engines to drive its paddle wheel at the stern of the ship. Steam is coming in from the boiler, it's let into either side of this cylinder, and that then drives the crosshead and these giant pitman arms that crank the paddle wheel around. The captain is up in the wheelhouse driving the ship. The engineer is the one who actually controls the engines. The captain communicates with the engineer by means of the engine room telegraph that gives him basically his engine orders. And the engineer responds, lets the captain know he's heard the instructions, and he can control the engine with the throttle that controls how much steam is going into the engine, and the reversing lever, which controls whether the engines are going to go forward or backwards. Also down here in the engine room is their workshop. They're able to basically fix or repair almost anything that could break down on board this ship, right down to doing machine work with a metal lathe. Here we are at the stern of the ship. This is what really makes the Samson so iconic. It's the 17-foot paddle wheel that when it turns, drives the boat through the water. The nice thing about a paddle wheel is that even though it's not necessarily as efficient as a screw-driven propeller, it can operate in very shallow water. The paddle wheel doesn't extend into the water as deep as the hull, so even if you ran this boat aground on a sandbar, you're not going to damage the propulsion. Another nice thing about the paddle wheel is that it's made out of wood, and so that if it gets damaged, the crew can come back out here with some planks and timbers and they can quickly fix it and get the boat running again. Operating a steam-powered paddle wheeler is a really labor-intensive operation. The Samson V had a crew of 14. Inside the deckhouse of the Samson V are crew's quarters and the officers' quarters. This galley that was fully equipped with a big diesel stove. The final part of this vessel we haven't seen yet is the wheelhouse. So why don't we go and take a look at that? It's up on the very topmost deck. There isn't a lot up here. The Samson dates from an era before modern electronics, and it was always really minimalist. This boat never had radar. It never had a depth sounder other than a deckhand with a pike pole. It had a basic magnetic compass, brass wheel to steer the ship, and the engine room telegraph to communicate your speed and engine directions to the engineer. The ship has a telephone intercom and a windshield wiper. So the Samson was navigated by knowledge, by paying attention to the river and to the landmarks along it. Basically the old school way that was passed down from captain to captain on the Fraser River. The Samson V is getting some much needed restoration work, and I'm going to hand you over to the shipwrights who are doing this great job on the ship.
Back on starboard, and now we're trying to work on sealing the deck completely with the commemorate part here. Some parts of the commemorate are really rotten, so it's explained by plywood that's not really jointed perfectly, with maybe nothing in between the seams, and yeah, it's 8 years old boat, you know, so it happens. The next step is gonna be the caulking. First we're gonna roll the oakum, then we're gonna install the oakum, and then the pitch. So the oakum, as we get it, it's like a big spool of messy hemp. So we have to braid it ourselves, to roll it, as we say. I'm not gonna use all of this. I need to divide it by 2. So first of all, I'm gonna unravel it. I'm gonna get like 20, 30 feet. One really easy way to do it is just toss it, bye-bye, and use the gravity to help the thing to untwist itself. So I get my 2 braid, so that's perfect what I need. So I'm gonna all over this. Perfect. And now I'm gonna roll them. I'm gonna try to remove these bumps here and there, the fact it's completely twisted here and there. So for doing this, it's simple. Just gonna stretch it like this. Rolling, stretching, rolling, stretching. It's a very fastidious job sometimes. But when you're caulking a whole boat, I mean, it's nice to have this kind of break time, or you can sit, do this peacefully in the shade or something like this. So it's really nice. Back in time, when there was many wooden boats and everything, it was whole job. It was not the shipwright who were doing this, it was the caulker that was doing this. So it's really impressive to see that back in time you have enough work to get one guy doing this the whole day. But now with time, the shipwright just learned to do this, and that's it. So now I'm done. I've got my rope that's even and nicely rolled. So the last thing I will do is roll it this way. Like this, I get a nice spool. That's when I just to pull this, everything comes apart like this, and I can move my little coil without any problem. So there it is. Let's go put it in the boat. So next step, you get your mallet, you get your iron. Just for the demonstration, I'm gonna do 1 or 2 seam. So first thing I'm gonna do is just sand it, and having small loops like this. I stop making loops and I really sand the oakum inside. So what I really want to achieve is getting something that's kind of even, as deep as wide. And now it's time for the pitch part. So it's a mix of bitumen and tree rosin. It's very hard, but when you feel with your fingernail, that's kind of soft. So that's perfectly what I need, something that stays hard, kind of soft. The first time we chipped all of this to a small chunks that's more easier to melt. We get this machine. Back in time you were using a pot and a ladle and pouring by hand, get your hands dirty, you can see everything dirty. So we came out with this small cart with a plate on the bottom, a stove plate, that's eating up everything, making it very liquid. You can see it's super liquid. And a small pipe on the front. And like this, we just have to drag it into the seams. Job's done. I have to do it in 2 times because it's so liquid that the first is just only going deep and flow everywhere and get inside every pore. But to make the boat really sealed and finished, I don't want something that's hollow like this. I want something that's really proud or at least flat. So that's why I need to go a second time to make it level. And to start up, after opening the valve here, I need to heat up the pipe a little bit with a blowtorch like this. It's flowing and I can keep going. So let's go. So it means that everything is liquid inside the pipe. So let's go opening the valve. So I don't care about making something messy for now. I just want it to be very proud and get all the pitch gets everywhere. Okay, I just poured here, and as you can see, it's already dry to the touch. And you can also see that when I was pouring, it was floating everywhere, but it's already down on the bottom, deep here. So it means that the product really went super down everywhere. There's a gap, and when I will be done with this one, I can go back a second time, make something really proud to not leave the water sticking inside. Tomorrow we clean it flash. Done. Right, we're done now on the Samson. We've laid on the deck, recaulk it, changed what was rotten, deck beams, planking. We put back guards, we make the roof watertight. So even if the work is complete, we saw other parts that needed more attention. So we really hope by the next year the museum is gonna trust us to continue the work on the Samson V.
See the Samson V for yourself? Come on down to the New Westminster waterfront. Contact the New Westminster Museum and Archives. They're the people who are operating the ship and keeping her open to the public so that generations to come will be able to see this amazing historical treasure.